Now, let's say you want to create your own custom shapes. So what we want to do here, you can come here. As you can see, the shortcut is R. You can come here and create your own shape. Figma makes it easier for you to create the rounded corners. As you can see, these dots here, they are helping you to easily create some rounded corners. What you can do with shapes also, you can give them a custom fill, which is a certain color. So if you want to do that, you can come here and change the color here. Let's go back to rounding the corners. As you can see, now it looks like the rounded corners have disappeared. Okay, so how do you then make sure that you still get the rounded corners? What you can do, you can rely on zooming the object in and out up until you see the rounded corners. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the touchpad of my laptop to zoom in and out, but feel free to zoom manually. So let's zoom in and let's zoom out. Let's click the object. As you can see, guys, now we can see these. Let's zoom in. When you zoom in, you can see them. Let's zoom out until we don't see the rounded corner option. As you can see, at a certain distance, you won't see the rounded corners. Okay, as you can see, now they have disappeared. But as soon as you zoom in, as you can see, they are starting to pop in. And then let's just go through the properties that the configuration of any shape. Okay, so once you click this shape, as you can see here under design, please bear in mind you have to always note that where you are. Sometimes as a beginner, by mistake, you click on the prototype and you won't see more options here and you might be confused. So always make sure you are on the design tab. Now here, what you can do, you've got some tools for aligning things. These tools are used by professionals. When you are creating a poster or a UI, at some point, these are not the things which are physically in front of you. Remember, as much as design has got an element of art in it, but we are not artists, meaning that we don't have the paint and the brush in front of us. So sometimes it's not easy when you are working with more than 50 objects in the canvas. It's not easy for you to know what aligns to where. So what do professionals do in that case? Professionals, they rely on these tools. For instance, you can select all the object and align them top. Automatically, all their edges will be aligned on the top and they will always be on the same place. Or you can align them left, bottom, or you can just center things using these options. So these options are very important. So now let's check what you can do with these options. Okay, let's just click on this shape and click one of these. As you can see, once we are done clicking this, it automatically moves to the center of the page. Makes your life easier. Imagine trying to fiddle to find the center of a page. Time consuming, right? So with these options, they make it easier for you to quickly move things to a certain place. So as you can see, once we click it here, it moves to the left. And once we click this one, it moves to the right, this one to the bottom, and this one to the top. What is interesting about this option, it also works on aligning shapes themselves or design element themselves. So what we are going to do, let's duplicate this shape. How can we do that? We can use the traditional Control C, Control V on Windows. Control C, Control V. As you can see, we've just got a copy of the same shape, but we can delete that, and then click here and press Control D for duplicating. Let's just quickly test. As you can see, we have just created a copy of the same object. Now, let's just play around with the sizes a little bit. Control C, Control V. Okay, let me make this small just to make sure that these are not aligning. Okay, just to make sure that these are not aligning. As you can see, now we've got chaos. As a designer, whether you are a graphic designer or you are a UI designer, this is what you do. You create a message out of a mess. So chaos is the enemy of a designer. So if things are like this and you are comfortable with a designer, it means that your skills are not to a level whereby you can work for a company or you can work for a client. Being organized is the first law of design. So what we want to do, we want to arrange these elements in such a way that they all start from the top. Not only they start from the top, but they need to align. As you can see, if we can do this, my apologies about that. If we can do this manually, it will mean we have to take this one and take this one and take this one and take this one. As you can see, this is somewhat there, okay? But if you zoom in, we might make some mistake, okay? Because we are human beings. When objects are too far, at some point, they look like they are aligning. But as a professional, how can you make sure that they are aligning? This is where you need to rely on the tools that I told you about. So let's just highlight everything here. In fact, let's just click one and press shift and click this one, and click this one. Okay, yes. So now let's just click here. As you can see, these are aligning to the top. Now I am 100% sure that these are aligning. Maybe with the digital world and the digital space, these might not be things that can be noticed by the users, let's say. But since I've got huge experience with the printing background, in printing, things look small in your computer. In printing, you can have a billboard right in front of your screen or inside your screen. Imagine how big the billboard is. Now, if you are careless with aligning things, you might think that, well, it's just a minor distance. This is the computer, and we are talking about real life, a billboard. Whatever you say it's a minor distance, it might be a meter when you are printing the actual size. So making sure that things align and using the computer to align things will save you a lot of time. I would like to assume even in design, if things don't align, they don't align, there will be a point in time where it's going to be noticeable. Let's say under what circumstances in the UI design things can be seen that they are not aligning. When you start to animate things, meaning that this shape might get into the bottom of this one and this one might overlap this one. Right there, you can see, more especially if the colors are different, you can start to see that these shapes, they are not aligning. So let's continue. So as you can see, guys, these are very important. Let me delete some of these. Okay, and then let's continue to the second row. So as you click here, you can see that we've got the X and Y values, we've got W and H. So in terms of the X, this is the X value. This is the position of the element relative to, let's say, in the entire screen. This is the X value and this is the Y value. This you are going to use, but at this point in time as a beginner, you are not going to use this like more often. Let me just give you an idea or give you a scenario where you want really to use the X and Y values. Let's say you are creating, you are composing shapes. Okay, so you want these shapes to be one on top of the other and they must align exactly. Okay, maybe the first layer has got a certain width, has been twisted a little bit, and the second one has got a slight variation, but you want these to be one on top of the other. This means that what you will do, let's say we've got these two shapes. Let me just change the color. Okay, we've made some small changes here. And then what we want to do, let me just bring the red one to the front. So now what I want to do, I want the red one to be in the exact position as the light red one. So that is where you can use the X and Y values, meaning that I am going to copy the X value of this and paste it here. As you can see, they align, and I'm going to copy its Y value as well and paste it here. As you can see, now they are starting exactly on the same place. Now let's continue. As you can see, we've got the width and height, something that I think you are familiar with. More important on the width and height, it's locking the aspect ratio. All design program, they have got these features. Okay, all design tools and software or application, they are like water and syrup, which makes an energy drink or any drink. Okay, it's sweet and it has got water, sugar and water. So the same thing happens here. Whatever that I'm teaching you here, it's available on Photoshop, it's available on CorelDRAW, and it's available on Illustrator. Maybe the naming might be different. Maybe Photoshop and the Adobe Suite might refer to a page as an artboard. CorelDRAW refers to it as a page. Figma refers to it as a frame. So the terminology might be different, but the essence is the same. The tools are the same. So let's talk about locking the aspect ratio. Let's say, let me just make a practical example of an image. Let's just look for an image of a bird, and we are going to copy this image. Okay, copy the image. Let's paste it on Figma. Okay, we have talked about scaling objects, more especially pictures, and also tempering with the proportion. Okay, let's say I hope okay, this is not going to give me exactly what I want based on how I have added this image. As you can see now, what is happening, Figma is scaling this image proportionally in the background under the hood. Maybe on the advanced course I will demonstrate this exactly the way I'm supposed to, since I don't want to some sort of move away from the essence of what I'm explaining to you now. So for now, let's just say this let's say this is an image, and then if you scratch only this becomes a problem. And also if you make this okay to this image, this is also a problem. So how can you make sure that this scales proportionally? This is how you can do that. Make sure you always lock your aspect ratio. Okay, this chain icon here is for that. And then what you can do now, okay, let's see, undo. Okay, let's just quickly lock again. As you can see, make sure that this is locked. Now what you can do when you come here, okay, and try to move this, as you can see, it scales proportionally. Let's see if we can scale, we can change or modify one dimension, meaning that we are going to modify the height and we are not going to modify the width. And let's see what will happen to the width. Okay, let's click here. This is clicked, and we are going to modify the width. Let's say make it 10 and click enter. Okay, as you can see, even though it's small, but what happens, the width is adjusted automatically. Okay, now let's make it 100. As you can see, never mind about the border radius there, but the width and height, it scales proportionally. Let's make this 300. As you can see, the width and height stays proportionally. In case you might want to know proportions in real life, if you look at your TV screen, the home television or flat screen, there is always a ratio there, which is maybe 6:9 or 16:9. So this means that this is the ratio of the width according to or as compared to the height. So this is very important. So now let's continue, guys. And then after that, you are having this option, which is for rotating. Let's just type 45 here and see. As you can see, guys, this rotates. What you can do, you can also rotate this manually by clicking on it. and then from then and moving it around. Okay, the what I'm going to show you now differs from graphic design application, from one graphic design application to the other. It differs, but in most cases what you will do, you can press shift and then rotate it. As you can see, it rotates in steps, so that if you want to rotate it 90 degrees, you've got a chance to some others you press shift, to some others you press control. You just have to see which one. And then from then, if you don't want to make some rounded corners here, as you can see guys, you can come here and make the rounded corners here. Okay, let me just make 10 here, as you can see. Okay, let me just zoom in, as you can see guys. And then if I make 100 here, as you can see, here is the effect. Let's say now you want to change certain corners, but you don't want to round all the corners. Okay, so what you can do, let's zoom in here. Okay, what you can do, as you can see, these are the option. What you can do, you can just go here and click here, so that you can choose which corner do you want to have more of the radial effect, and which one you want to have, let's say, less of a radial effect. As you can see, okay, even here we can set this independently of the other ones. Okay, let's just check here. As you can see, you can make some different shapes out of this. Okay, so let me just give you another tip. Why would someone make a perfect circle out of a shape of a square, instead of just taking an eclipse tool here, taking an eclipse tool and creating a circle like this? When you are creating an avatar in an application, you might have different forms of avatar. Okay, let me just make an example. Let me copy this image again, and then let me go here and let me paste it here. As you can see, as I'm pasting it here, it gets inside this shape. Now let's say I am also pasting it inside this shape, and let's make it a perfect square. My apologies about that. Let's make this a perfect square by holding shift at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to paste the same image inside this shape, as you can see. Now if I want to make this a full circle, I can just go here. Let's just apply what we have learned recently and check. As you can see guys, this is a perfect circle. But at the same time, this one, okay, if we've got a variation of an avatar, which is an avatar that is slightly different, it means that with this one we can come here maybe and type 100 here. Okay, maybe let's type 50, let's say. As you can see guys, okay, now we've got different variation, or we've got a variant of an avatar. So that is the use case of creating an avatar from a perfect square instead of the actual eclipse. Okay, so I hope you are learning guys. If you do, please don't forget, you can check my coding channel, Coded Design, where I can teach you how to practically apply the user interface, which is awesome, that you have designed, learning here at Coded UI. Also, you can join my newsletter by checking the link in the description below. This is where you get updated with the future resources that I am going to distribute, which I can't distribute on YouTube, because YouTube, it's a video first platform. I can't share PDFs and other things. So let's continue guys.